Welcome everyone to our regional highlight, our first of the series. I am coming to you from Salinas, California as the farm's leadership coordinator out here. It is my pleasure to introduce you to all of our farm's leadership coordinators as well as our speaker today. Before we get started, we wanted to go around and introduce ourselves, and maybe we can say our name, where we're from, and what our favorite beneficial insect is. So today we're going to be talking about beneficial insects. So Joseph, if you'd like to start.
Hi, I'm Joseph Montoya, the Farms Leadership Coordinator for the San Joaquin and Sacramento Valley. My favorite beneficial insect is the praying mantis. The green is just like my favorite, and I don't know, it's cool that they can, what is it? They can like change their color to match their background, camouflage. So, but yeah, like when they're green, I think it's really cool.
Hi everybody, I'm Dana Baker and I'm the Tehama and North State Farms Leadership Coordinator, and I'm coming to you from Red Bluff. My favorite beneficial insect is also the praying mantis because I just think they're so sassy. I love that they are just ornery and they're willing to put up a fight. So they're fun. My kids don't really love them because they're kind of ornery.
I can go ahead.
Hi.
Oh, sorry, Katie. I'm Mary Kimball. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Land-Based Learning, and the FARMS program is a part of the Center for Land-Based Learning, and I'm in Woodland. And you guys picked some a good one there. I'm gonna go with green lacewing. So if you haven't learned about what the green lacewing looks like, maybe Chandler will talk about it a little bit, who knows. It's a he is beautiful insects, and they have, as it sounds, lace wings. Literally their wings are like this incredible lacy light green color, and they're just very kind of almost delicate in shape and look. So I love those guys.
Romy, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Romy Wattenberger. I'm the Kern County Farms Coordinator here. And I have to agree with Joseph and Dana. I love praying mantises. They just have such an attitude to them, and I just love everything about them. So.
My name's Katie Geist, and I'm the coordinator in the Central Valley. I would say that my favorite insect would probably be a ladybug. I just think they're cute, and like everyone likes a ladybug. And I live in Madeira.
All right, thank you everyone for sharing. If I had to choose my favorite insect, I'd choose a bumblebee. I know they don't fight anything off, but they certainly pollinate our plants appropriately, so that's my choice. So thank you, coordinators, and I guess we can have Chandler go ahead and introduce himself, and if you want to say your favorite beneficial insect, that would be
so I'm Chandler Bennett from Salinas, president of Parabug. I also work for Bear Flag Robotics, which is an autonomous tractor company. And my favorite beneficial insect would probably be lacewing, like Mary. But since Mary already took that one, after that would probably be Pheromones, and that's what our logo is based off of. Pheromones is a predatory mite. So.
Great. Yes, so you're the owner of Parabug, and can you share a little bit more about what Parabug is and how things got started?
Yeah, so Parabug, we're putting out beneficial insects by drone. It all started in, I think it was 2014 at Cal Poly when I was studying agricultural systems management. I was in an integrated pest management class. It's kind of when the drone craze was just starting, or they were really starting to be commercialized. And I was handling biocontrols and seeing how light they were, how many you could pack into a small area, really just suited for drone application. Everyone's talking about spraying with drones, but at the time, and well, still really to this day, spraying, it's just, there's too much volume or too much weight that you have to carry. So the technology and the regulations aren't quite there for spraying. So, but anyways, I started prototyping, and then once I got the patent pending, we started commercially doing applications. And since then, we've done a variety of beneficial insects on a variety of crops. And we're, we're only in one other country, Australia, but I guess you could say we're worldwide. So, and that's where Parabug is now. So.
Great. And I know you shared a little bit about your background in agriculture earlier with us, but can you go over a little bit about how you got started in ag?
Sure. It's a very long story. It goes all the way back to middle school. My dad, by trade, he's a landscape contractor, but he bought a citrus orchard in Ventura County when I was in middle school. I guess that's kind of what got me into ag. It's funny, after high school, I went to the Maritime Academy, studying to be a merchant marine and basically Navy Reserve, but ultimately decided that farming really was my passion, and ultimately graduated from Cal Poly and went to work in agriculture. So.
Great. And what helped you get started? I know you've been doing Parabug for a while, and it was originally an ag startup. Is that correct?
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, I guess you could say we still are a startup, but I mean, it's been quite some time. And yeah, no, it's been good. So.
Did you get support from local, the Ag Innovation Center locally? Or?
No, so we're 100% bootstrapped. It's all privately held and family owned. I recently brought on a Cal Poly, or a friend of mine who I met at Cal Poly, and made him a partner, Kevin Hill. He basically runs the operations, and between him and my wife Jacqueline, they're really the face of the company. I'm just the guy in the background with the great idea. So, yeah.
Great. Well, I know you have some footage prepared for us, so I was hoping that you can share your screen and show us a little bit about what Parabug does.
Let's see here.
And who are your customers?
Yeah, so our customers are a variety of, multiple customers in California, whether they're almond growers to grape growers, you name the crop, and we've probably have applied beneficial insects on that crop. But yeah, we have customers, again, all over California, a variety of crops, Oregon, Washington, Florida, Arizona, and Australia. But yeah, so here's a video of Parabug in action. So it's a pretty simple device, but simplicity, you can say, is superior. Less things to break, and the simpler the better, in my opinion. But predatory mites, this was primarily designed for predatory mites or persimmons, like I said, being my favorite. Predatory mites, they like to climb up and towards sunlight. And so that's the primary reason for this rotating action, is to keep them mixed in, we call it carrier, which is basically just anything that's inert material, whether it be vermiculite, rice hulls, sawdust, buckwheat hulls. Those are the common carriers. So we mix those in, or we mix the beneficial insects into those carriers to, in a sense, dilute them, and kind of like you would with like a pesticide, you would add water to dilute it. But yeah, so we dilute the beneficial insects, and another reason for that carrier is to basically keep them from sticking to the side of the tube. But so this tube, it slowly rotates.
We actually
which keeps
can't
them.
see the video.
Oh, really? Oh, because I didn't share it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I only shared the file. Let me close it out here. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Here we go. There we go. So it should be.
Yeah,
Should
there
be able
we
to see
go.
it now. So as the tube rotates, so you're getting that keeping them mixed, so for a uniform application, and you're also keeping them from climb all over the drone and moving on. So that's the primary reason for that rotating action. It's kind of like a salt, like what kind of simplified. I always tell people it's like a salt shaker. So when you put out your salt, it kind of fills up and you can't dump out anymore. So like if we were to stop this tube, nothing would be coming out. So it's a great mechanism for putting out biocontrols.
And did you design the attachments that are on your drone there? Or did you have to hire an engineer?
Yeah, so everything, no, everything was designed by me through computer-aided design software. And also made by me. The initial prototypes were, well, a lot of these parts are still 3D printed. And there's a variety of reasons. We can go, that's a whole nother rabbit hole of using 3D printing for manufacturing. But so basically anything that you see on here that's red from the carbon fiber and these clear tubes was designed and manufactured by us. So.
Hey Chandler, how many insects would be in one of those tubes? So like how many acres would that cover?
Yeah, so that's what's really cool is you could literally fill these tubes with like the entire field if you wanted to. So you could fit anywhere from a few hundred to a few million if you wanted to. But usually where we're running is probably in like the 100,000 range. And it really varies for what type of insect you're applying and on what crop and rate. But that usually, can last you from anywhere from 10 to 50 acres. But to give it, I guess I'd like to give you a real idea of what we could do with that tube. An average operator can usually apply beneficial insects on about 800 acres in one workday with one drone. And with new technology that we're working on, I think we can get that up to 1,200 acres in a day. So, which I would say is probably even faster than most ground sprayers. And yeah, it's pretty incredible how many acres we can cover with this drone.
And is part of the way that you do this, do you do the operation or do you train other operators at the farm, like farm managers, to do this? Is that part of kind of your long-term strategy, or do you want to control it from start to finish?
Yeah, so our business model is we basically do business-to-business contracts. So we contract with other UAV operations or operators who go out and perform the service. Due to California regulations, you have to have a crop duster license. And then you also have to have your FAA or Federal Aviation license for flying drones, which is Part 107. And then you have to have liability insurance, and basically the costs of doing an application commercially kind of, for the most part, wouldn't be viable for smaller operations. Now, if you were to be, in a multi-thousand acre larger operation, it would probably pencil out. Plus, usually around that range, operations usually have an in-house drone operator. So it usually pencils out and makes sense. But for the small operations, the service model usually is the best route.
Great, thank you.
Chandler, what type of crops do you primarily distribute these onto? Is it primarily citrus or is it row crops?
Yeah, so again, pretty much every high value crop that's grown in California. So our number one crop, it's probably between grapes, whether that's raisin, wine, or table grapes, and tree nuts. Those are the top two acreage wise. And then after that would probably be vegetables, whether that's broccoli, cauliflower, lettuce, those sort of crops, row crops, and then strawberries. Yeah, we've you name it, we've probably done it. And then there's also the lower value crops, which we've actually started getting into, like mint in Oregon, corn and soy and cotton. And I think with the new things we're going to be rolling out, I think it'll make it even more economically viable to do this in those lower value crops.
We had a question, Chandler, from Kelly Kane. She wants to know, where do these insects come from? And I had a similar question. Do you buy from insectaries, or do you have your own insectary? How does that work?
Yeah, so the number one thing, me having been a grower myself, I like to work with people who allow me to use whatever product I want. So we have no exclusivity with any insectaries. So insectaries are the ones that rear these insects. There's multinational insectaries or companies that do it, and then there's also the local insectaries. Some of the local ones would be Beneficial Insectary in Redding, Biotactics in Corona, and Mighty Mite in Salinas. Those are the local ones. Oh, and Foothill Ag Research, which is also in Corona. Our Associates Insectary, which is in Santa Paula. But basically, these are all reared basically in greenhouses or controlled environments. And then they're harvested, packed, and shipped overnight to be applied. And actually, before I move on, one insectary is BioBee, which is one of the largest insectaries in the world. They say it's faster. So their primary operations and where they reared these insects is in Israel. And they say, if you're a Pheromones mite, you can be anywhere in the world faster than a human. Because they can literally get Pheromones from Israel to a field in California literally overnight. So.
That's amazing. Awesome. There was a question actually from Miss Griffith about, and she's wondering, or excuse me, Mr. Griffith, and he's wondering about if there are any benefit, is there any benefit with pollination, or is this primarily used to combat pests?
So this is primarily used to combat pests, apply beneficial or predatory insects. Again, going back into regulation, we could do pollination with it, like packing this with pollen, but we would have to get certain licenses in order to do that. There is a company called Dropcopter that is applying pollen by drone, and they're primarily in the Northeast and East Coast. But from what I hear, it's been pretty successful. So.
And did you want to share another video, Chandler? Oh, sorry, Joseph. Did you have a question? Sure.
So I'm seeing this, and I feel like there's two sort of big hobbies that are like coming into play here. I feel like you could either be, on the one hand, a big insect, like a bug collector, and maybe like just a huge, remote controlled airplane or remote controlled car enthusiast. Are you any of those? Are you both of those? How did all this come about?
Well, that is, it's funny you say that. I know a few people who have very expensive hobbies, and they're like, well, at least yours pays you. But yeah, no, it's the perfect melding of everything I love. I love pest control, especially biocontrol. I think there's so much untapped potential in that, and I just love tinkering. So it's everything I love, and it's helped me learn new things and try new things, and it's been a great experience. So.
Okay, so you do have a bug collection then.
I do. Well, that was, I haven't added to it, but in my entomology class, yeah, I had put together a bug collection. Yeah, I haven't added to it though. Let me.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So this, let me open this up here and share. So this is actually green lacewing. So this kind of goes to show the size. So this is a freshly hatched lacewing. And you see, they're kind of nicknamed alligators, and that's because of they're these, sorry, this video is really tough because it's so small, but they have these, I guess you could say like pinchers. They're obviously, the technical term is mandibles, but, and with those, they pierce like an aphid or a soft-bodied insect, and they suck out the insides of their prey. This is like one of my favorite because it's a generalist. They'll go after, again, any soft-bodied insect, including themselves, unfortunately. They are cannibalistic if they can't find any food. So, and let me find another video here.
And Kevin is wondering when you first got into pest control.
When I first, so pest control, really pest management is a part of any farming or operation. So I guess you could say in citrus, when I was working with my dad, I guess that's kind of when it got me into it. And then when I was in college at Cal Poly, my major was more ag business and engineering sort of major. But what was really cool about that major too is they allowed a lot of electives, and I used those electives to take crop science classes. And that's when I kind of made more of an emphasis towards pest management in order to get my pest control advisor license. Because it really is, pest management is probably one of the keystones to growing a good crop. So, but so this video, this is Pheromones mites actually right here. Really tough to see, but those little orange dots that are moving is each a mite right there.
You'll have to start it again, or at least we're not seeing it. Sorry.
Is it not sharing? I'm sorry.
Not yet.
Okay, let me bring it up here again. Lots of videos. Can you guys see it now? This bottle here?
Yep, we can.
Okay. So all these little orange dots right here are Pheromones mites. And in this bottle right here alone is 5,000 mites. So just a small collection of them is a small portion of what's in that total bottle there.
Hey, can you, Chandler, I think that's something that a term you're using a lot of, and I love talking about the difference, right, between predators and like parasitoids. So I'm wondering, do you just work with predators, and just maybe talk a little bit more about those two different kind of options with your beneficials, and how is it that they are killing other pests? I think that's the thing that's always a little bit interesting for folks to learn.
Absolutely. So basically anything that we apply is a predator. So that's kind of like the top term. And then below that, you have a specialist and a generalist. And so, let's see here. Generalists are generally things that eat things. So that'd be like lacewing, like I just showed you. And a generalist eats pretty much anything. They don't really have like a specific appetite, right? And then you have your specialist, which would be like Pheromones mite. Pheromones mite only eats two-spot spider mite. But there's other predatory mites that can be more like a generalist. They'll eat other, and they'll even eat pollen to survive. Now then you have, like you said, parasitoids. And in a sense, they can kind of be like a generalist, but they're kind of more of a specialist because they only go after like we'll say aphids, but there could be subsets under that. But let's say aphids. And parasitoids, they're cool because they'll sting them. So parasitoids are a wasp, adult wasp, and they come by and they sting and insert an egg or into the prey. And it's like a movie. It's like the movie Alien. They literally eat their way out from the pest, and then once they emerge, they generally go off and then do the same thing. They go and sting more, and that's what a parasitoid is. But I almost wish I had like a big whiteboard that I could kind of make like it's a pyramid. It can get really complicated, but you basically have your generalists and your specialists, biocontrols. So, and then you have, again, the overlying, which is predation, which basically anything that's a predator, we apply. So.
Chandler, do you apply insects year round, or is this seasonal, or does it depend on the crop, or?
Yeah, so it's seasonal in the sense of where you are in the world. So where we're at in California, it sounds like majority are from Kern County north. This is kind of like the off season. The on season for that region would be like summertime, or spring to summertime. And then now this time of year, we're transitioning more down to Southern California and Southern Arizona for the vegetable crops. And then what I like to say is the other side of the world. So the other side of the world is, the opposite season of us. So right now in Australia, they're going into spring. So right now they're starting to take off on doing these applications. But no matter where you are in the world, it's usually their spring, or springtime to the summer, that we apply beneficial insects. The only odd exception would be vegetable crops, which move south.
So we had some other questions I want to make sure that get asked. So Gracie asked, how did you come up with the name Parabug? That's a great question. Yeah,
that's a really great question. My wife is here too. She says it started off as a joke, and it kind of did start off as a joke. I think it was just a whole bunch of brainstorming. I was between like aerobug or like something to do with aerospace and aerial application, right? And then bugs. So that's where parachuting bugs. And it's funny, sometimes we still get asked how we put the parachutes on the bugs. But yeah, no, that's how we came up with the name. It was just simple brainstorming, just putting a whole bunch of different words together, I guess. So.
Another question from Regina Stafford was, what is the survival rate of the insects after they leave the tube?
Yeah, no, very great question. We're asked that all the time. So that was my first thing that I did when I was going through prototyping, was seeing what the survival rate or the mortality rate is in comparison to hand application. And so we have a study from Cal Poly that also backs that up. Plus we work with third-party researchers, commonly with University of California. And it's very low. It's the equivalent of, or actually sometimes even better than hand application, just because we're doing a very uniform mechanized job. There's just so many variables in hand application. You could have a guy who's like shaking the bottle, or rolling it too much, or leaving it out in the sun with the top closed. So the mortality rates, again, equal if not better than hand application. So.
And what are those? Are you willing to share the mortality rates? I mean, are we talking like?
It's very few. It's less than 10%.
Less than 10%. Okay.
Yeah. there's a lot of variance in there.
Sure, and I'm sure it depends on the species and
Yeah.
a lot of other things. Yeah, that's really cool. And one other question. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask, how does beneficial insects, the cost of utilizing them versus spraying for some of these different diseases and pests, is there cost benefits? Why one versus the other?
Yeah, so I'm a big whole systems approach kind of guy. There's organic systems and then there's conventional systems. I like to be in the middle. I think there's a lot more sustainability we have in the middle because you have a lot more tools in your toolbox. On cost benefit analysis, like now that we're doing this all by air and not doing it by hand, that's what's allowing us to get into these other crops and making more economically viable. So like a hand crew costs you anywhere from $25 to, I've even heard $80 an acre to apply biocontrols. That's just the application cost. So you add on the biocontrol or the beneficial insect cost, and you can be usually between like $30 to like $70 an acre. So that can, in that range, you can get into competing with pesticides, whether that's organic or conventional. But unfortunately, the drawback is where we're not putting a fungicide out with these insects. So like a lot of growers, they call it tank mixing, putting a fungicide in with an insecticide. So then your cost of application, you're basically getting 2 for 1, where with Parabug, you're only getting 1, which is insect control. So the economics of it, I would say we're about on par with chemical application. And again, it depends on what system you're in. Now, if we're going up against conventional pesticides, I would say we're not competitive just due to the costs. They're really cheap. In organic systems, sometimes we're way below the cost of the application.
Well, and like you said, there's if you're looking at a holistic system, if there's other things that you're trying to ensure don't happen, like pesticide toxicity with your labor force or other things, every farmer's got different reasons for doing different things. And so that's one of the nice things about the use of beneficial insects. It's a softer approach, right? It's a softer approach on the environment and all of those other pieces too. Do you guys do anything with pheromones, or have you thought about doing anything with pheromones?
So again, it comes down to licensing.
Okay.
We would love to, because it would really play into what we're doing, which is, softer chemistries and more integrated pest management. And it would actually be, if we had pheromones and biocontrols all applied by drone, there's some pests that you wouldn't have to do anything else that would take care of the problem. So.
Sorry, you probably have more videos to show.
Oh, I've got plenty of video. I could take up the rest of you guys' day with video. So.
Sure, let's do another.
Let's see. So this is, let me do a share here.
Didn't quite work there, Chandler. Yeah.
There we go. So this is actually what hand application would be. Kind of go back to the cost of putting these out. So this is how it used to be done before drone tech. This was actually on my strawberry farm a few years back. And I would have loved to have been using these guys to do other tasks in this field, like weeding or pulling runners, etc. But unfortunately, I had to use them to do this. So that's one of the things, like not only are we lowering the cost of the application of biocontrols and making them more competitive, on a pest management standpoint, but also allows growers to use their labor force to do other things. And as you guys already know, labor is getting tougher and tougher to find. So, and then let's see here. This isn't a video, but this is, I'd like to show you guys the software that we use. Oh, of course I didn't. Why is it opening? Bear with me here. All right. So this is the software that we use. So this is what controls the drone. So you put in your various, we call them waypoints, and the waypoints are these dots here at the end of these green lines. So this is basically the end of each path. And then on the right here is the various flight parameters that you want to do, like how fast you want to fly, how high you want to fly, and how you want to fly it. For example, like cornering, is curved. We could change that to square, but flying curved is more efficient. And so this that technology helps us, again, do a more uniform application. And we can provide this to the grower to show them where we've been and how they were applied. Again, this is another lacewing. I know it's tough to tell here. We recently got a Dyna Light like microscope camera, but unfortunately I don't have any of those photos. But that's another lacewing there, just barely hiding there on the side of the penny. Let's see here. And I don't know if you guys can see this. These are insectary plants. So this is, again, one of the ranches that I used to farm. These insectary plants, like I was saying, some generalists or some beneficial insects, they feed off pollen, some in order to complete their life cycle, and then also some can feed off this for subsistence. So like if there wasn't a predator, something to predate on, they could live off of pollen and still stay in your field. So these insectary plants, if you plant them around your field, you can keep your biocontrols in your field, or certain biocontrols in your field. If you didn't have this, they would move on to find more, pests to feed on, or flowers, to get pollen. This is Cryptolaemus. Cryptolaemus is it's in the family of lady beetles. I'm surprised not to really hear everyone's favorite biocontrol being lady beetles or ladybugs. But this is very closely related. This particular beetle goes after mealybug, and they actually they'll bite you. It's not really like they won't do much harm, but it's definitely a noticeable little pinch. They're very mobile. They fly around and they do a great job on mealybug. This is we did a stationary test of them, and that's them crawling out of the tube. So that's some of the video. I don't know if there's anything in particular you guys really want to see. I got plenty. I could probably find it. So if you have any requests.
Regina was asking if you had a video of a drone flying and applying the insects, and obviously there was, you showed that a little bit earlier, but if you have one, and also kind of similarly, there was a question that did go along with the earlier software. Is there a specific speed and or altitude that you have your drones fly? So, go ahead.
I'll play this video. This is another video of it close up of it applying persimosis in this one on strawberries. But going to the question of the software, so that again was kind of a learning curve. No one has done this before, and we had to learn all these things. One of those being altitude. So there's a sweet spot. Everyone thinks that the lower the better, but it's actually not. We start getting prop wash, is what we call it. It's downforce winds from the drone. So we like to fly between 10 and 15 feet above the crop canopy. Too high, and you risk the possibility of like a wind coming by and blowing your biocontrols into your neighbor's field. And so that's why we like to fly between 10 and 15 feet. Airspeed is another one. We're usually flying between 20 to 25, sometimes 30, but usually 20 to 25 miles an hour. And those are some of the flight characteristics. Basically the same as a aerial applicator, doing pesticides. We're maybe a tad bit higher above the crop canopy, maybe flying a tad bit faster. But for the most part, we fly in the same conditions, or want to. Cooler temperatures, low wind. Again, the same kind of good conditions that you'd want for a pesticide application. So. Are there any other questions?
I think the video, like some of the videos are not really playing like at speed. So some of them were having a little bit of a hard time the full speed of the video, but that's, just wanted to
I can also throw our YouTube channel in the mix or into the chat, and
sure.
all those are.
I think that would be great, because then the students and the teachers could look at those later, or teachers could use it for other classes and stuff like that. That's a great idea. Mr. Griffith got another question. How much weight can your drone carry?
Yeah, so that particular drone, DJI M600, that's basically our workhorse for Parabug. That can carry, I believe, 25 pounds takeoff weight, or can lift to take off. Now, Parabug, when those tubes are fully loaded, we're usually around 7.5 pounds or actually 8 pounds for both tubes being filled. And that's everything. That's the motors, that's the carrier with the insects. Basically everything Parabug related, about 8 pounds in the air.
And Lorena Heredia asked, how much does it cost to distribute through drone?
Yeah, so that there's a little bit of a range. We're between $14 to $17 an acre for the application. And that range is for, accounting for if there's a lot of travel involved, or if it's a risky job. So like there's a lot of hills and power lines. But for the most part, we usually fall around $14 an acre.
That doesn't seem too bad. And do you only have one pilot, Chandler, or how many pilots?
So Parabug has in-house one operator, and that'd be Kevin. But with the contracts that we've done with service providers, we have one in Florida, we have one in Washington, one in Oregon, we have 3 in California, one in Arizona, and then I believe we're bringing on 3 now in Australia. So
are you able to just ship your drones to them for them to utilize if they're going to be?
Yeah, so we do training with these companies, and during that training we attach our mechanism to their drone, and then they take it where they need to go to do the application.
And do you hold patents for all of your equipment that you have?
Yeah, so we're still in the patent pending stage. I don't know why it's taking so long. And but yeah, we hold a pending patent for the Parabug mechanism.
So Chandler, do you see, thinking of these students that are in high school now and kind of interested, right, in ag tech and whether it's drones or the software behind it? I mean, what kinds of things do you see coming down, whether it's in pest management or otherwise, for opportunities for them to be either studying when they go on to community college or 4-year, or just getting some experience in or learning more about right now so that they can kind of be ready for some of the things that might be coming down the pike soon?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not, I guess it's not really learning. Well, it's more of an experience. I would say number one, try to get a summer job or internship. I learned so much from my internships. I guess I got lucky with who I was paired with, but I've gained a lot of mentors from those internships and learned so much about the industry, about thinking outside the box, and how to solve problems. And all that, of course, has been backed up by what I've learned at school. So again, my schooling, it was very unique, allowed me to basically do a whole bunch of different things and still major in something. And I think that's kind of what's helped me, is just being so, it's a bad term, but a jack of all trades, but master of none. But it's allowed me to do a lot of different things, having a variety of skills, from computer aided design is what helped me basically take my idea and bring it to reality with 3D printing. 3D printing has made it so easy where you just make something on the computer and then it appears in the physical world. So I think computer aided design will only help you if you learn the programs out there. And then like the control box, which controls the Parabug, which talks to the drone and controls the Parabug unit. That's all computer science related things, and computer engineering sort of classes. So there's a lot of that was self-taught from like YouTube and stuff. But again, you could take courses on that, and that would help you. And then the pest management side, again, having a lot of leeway on electives allowed me to, kind of specialize in pest management. Learned a lot in that. But really, where I learned, like, kind of, set that in stone and really learned was in the real world. A lot of stuff in the real world is where, it's putting, we learned the application. And again, I would go back to like internships and, just getting a summer job, or working with somebody. But I would say, whatever your interests, I think, whatever your interest is, pursue it, and learn, take the time to learn about it. It kind of goes back to that past question, about this being a hobby of mine. That's really what it is, because it's everything I love to do. And that's made it really easy to learn things. When you love something, it's easy to learn. So.
So that prompted some questions. I'm sure you're not surprised about whether or not you offer internships.
Unfortunately, we don't right now. We don't, but I hope we can get to that point at some point. But yeah, right now we don't. But feel very much free to reach out to me on, whether it's directly through phone, email, or through social media. I'm more than happy to answer your questions and give you, guidance or what have you. More than happy to.
Great, thank you. Are there any additional questions from coordinators, maybe? I've
asked plenty.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone did ask about how big that drone is. You called it your workhorse, and I think you had a number associated, but I don't know if we had a sense for those of us who are not droney.
So, I mean, it can lift 25 pounds, but size-wise, it's, you know, I don't recall what the exact measurement is, but it's at least 4 to 5 feet wide when those arms are extended. So it's a relatively large drone, but we're actually working on one that's bigger than that. So the regulation for our licenses is we can only be 55 pounds max total, everything in the air. And we're going to be basically right there. And that drone is easily going to be 6 feet wide, and it's going to be a hybrid. So it's a gas electric drone, and it's going to be a very large drone. So.
So you just said your drone specifically is gas and electric? Both?
So yeah, the one that we're currently flying, the DJI M600, that's only electric.
Oh,
But we're working on a hybrid electric or a gas electric drone. And the primary reason for that is so we can have more flight time. So right now, with the DJI M600, we can fly for about 45 minutes. And that's in ideal conditions. Usually we're more near a half hour. But with the gas electric hybrid, we'll be able to stay in the air for, we're still getting data off of it, but we're expecting about 3 hours. So again, it goes back to being more efficient and reducing the cost to make it more economical. Now, if we fully pack those tubes with the whole job with beneficial insects and then stay in the air, not having to come in and refill and then taking off again and, you know, wasting that time, we'll be able to cover more ground in a day. And, you know, again, with that, I believe we can bring down the cost of application even more. Again, making it more economically viable for, you know, to compete with pesticide application.
great. And I know you've been doing this for a while. Have you seen additional technologies similar to yours, or?
Yeah, with any great thing, there's competitors. Yeah, so that, none of them have, thankfully, none of them have directly copied what we're doing. But there are other mechanisms out there that are doing this in Europe. I'm not quite sure what the name of the company is. I know the Insectary Line is working with them, but they're essentially putting trichogramma, which is a parasitoid wasp, into like a little ball. And it has a very small hole in it that only the trichogramma wasp can get out of. And they're basically dropping these balls into mostly corn. And then there's another one in California, UAVIQ, again, a different mechanism, but they basically have like a funnel with like a hole in the bottom. So those are known competitors. I'm sure someone is coming up with a better idea out there. So.
And we had another question about whether there are any predatory pests for flies.
For flies, actually there is. I don't recall the name, but Beneficial Insectary was basically a leader in rearing that and making that product. Yeah, they're very heavily used in you know, feedlots and equine facilities, poultry, etc. But yeah, it basically goes after fly maggots. So
I buy them, and it's like the Insectary is up in it's in Red Bluff or Redding or somewhere up there. Yeah, and you can just buy them. You just even for your household, and you can get it different amounts, and they come in a little pack with some, like you said, the carrier. And you go out there and spread it around, basically where you have some challenges with manure or whatever it might be. It could be, you know, your dogs or your chickens or your horse or whatever it is. So yeah, you can buy them online. They're a great company.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't remember the name. If I did,
I
I
know,
probably
I
wouldn't
can't think of
pronounce
it either. And they send me lots of emails. Would you like to buy some more?
I know, and they called them the fly predator, but I forget what
Yeah,
their,
that's their actual, like, you're right, that's trademarked, I think, the fly predator. But the name of the company is, and it's up in your area.
yeah, the Beneficial Insectary in Reading.
Beneficial
They've
Insectary,
hosted, they've hosted our Farms Advanced Kids.
Yeah.
So.
Roman had another question. Roman sounds like he wants to be a drone, or he already is a drone aficionado. He says, does everything need to be, I think you mean FAA certified?
The drone itself doesn't have to be certified by the FAA. Now, we got into doing certain things like applying pollen or seed or pesticides, then we would have to have it certified under Part 137. But right now, there's an exemption in 107 for applying beneficial insects. But when you get into the state level in California, and only California, to my knowledge, beneficial insects falls under pest control by aircraft. So that's when we have to have extra licensing for applying these by drone or aircraft. So, but we are planning on, with this new one, possibly going down the route of getting it certified as Part 137, so we can do, like the pheromones. I would love to do that. So something to work on, but it's going to be a challenge. So.
Yeah, I was thinking about how much the walnut growers and others would love the pheromone by air, because you're talking about the hand crews, and I think about all those little things that have to be physically put on the trees right now, and the amount of time and labor it takes to do that. And yet so many growers are using the pheromones at this point specifically for coddling moths. So for those of you students out there that want to know what we're talking about, coddling moth, CODDLING, is a really bad pest for walnut growers. And they've been using the mating disruption hormone for a long time. You put the hormone out there at the right time of year when mating is happening, and it basically makes there's female scent, like now all over the orchard, and all the males get confused. That's why they call it mating disruption. I kind of love it.
Yep.
And they can't find the females because there's so much scent out there. But again, they've got to have hand crews out there literally putting up these little tags in a lot of trees. I can't remember how many per acre, but it's a lot. And so if you can imagine, if it could be put out there by drone, the savings, like Chandler is talking about, would be impressive, and also something that potentially more folks would use, right? Even more large operations especially would be able to use it, because it is right now, in many cases, it's a challenge financially. So that's pretty cool.
Well, and
you'll figure it out, Chandler. I know you will.
Well, kind of going off the pheromone thing, though, what we have been doing is working with sterile insects, applying those, and it kind of is the same theory as pheromones. Because they're giving off pheromones, and then also, and if they do happen to meet, they're not going to be able to reproduce. So you kind of get 2 for 1. But I still think, with pheromones and a predator, from what I've been seeing, there's great results from that. So again, I think if we can add that to our services, will only help everyone. So
great. Well, we're so thankful that you could be here today, Chandler, and share a little bit more about Parabug and what you do and why you do it. For all of our attendees, if you want to check out more videos, definitely look for Parabug on YouTube and Instagram. Are you on Facebook as well?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. I think we're on every social media platform. If there's one that I'm not on, let me know. So,
Thank you. Definitely. And if you want to add that to the chat, they can definitely find you there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, let me, forgot to do the YouTube one. Do that here right now.
Perfect. And I think we are at time.
Okay.
So if you, coordinators, if you have additional comments or thank yous.
Just want to say thanks, Chandler. I actually have to get off now and talk to an assemblyman from your area there, Assemblyman Rivas. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, but thanks so much. I wanted to stay on to the very end, and this was super interesting, and we're just really appreciative of all that you've done for the Farms Leadership Program and for the students. And at some point, we hope that you'll be able to do internships, even if they're somehow virtual, because I think a lot of people are really interested in what you do and want to learn more.
Absolutely. Anything having to do with ag education, I am all about. So, talking to all these teachers here, if I can, help in any way, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Chandler. We really appreciate it. Thank you for all the students. There was a good turnout of you guys today. So thank you.
Yes, thank you to my students from Health Careers Academy, Langston Hughes Aspire, Grant Union High School, and Historic Durham Ferry. And also, hey, Ethan Garcia, I see you. Looking forward to the majors next year.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and